If you walked into a hunter-gatherer camp 30,000 years ago, your modern nose would probably tell you one thing. These people are filthy. But here's the unsettling truth. While you're scrubbing away with synthetic detergents, your ancestors were using a sophisticated system of survival hygiene that kept them remarkably healthy without a single drop of soap. They weren't just dirty humans waiting for a shower. They were biological engineers who used smoke, honey, and even the bacteria in their own mouths to maintain a level of health that we are only now beginning to understand. Before we had steam rooms, we had the vapor bath. Around 500 BC, the ancient Greek historian Herodotus described a nomadic group called the Scythians, who had a radical way of getting clean. They would set up enclosed tents, heat stones until they glowed, and throw seeds, specifically hemp, onto the heat. The result wasn't just a party in a tent. It was a ritualized cleansing through smoke and heat. This wasn't unique to them. From ancient China to Mesopotamia and India, civilizations used fumigation, or smoked drinking, inhaling medicinal herbal vapors to treat the body and the lungs directly. They understood that smoke wasn't just a byproduct of fire. It was a delivery mechanism for plant-based medicine that could reach parts of the body water couldn't. But what about actual dirt and infection? In a world without antibiotics, a simple scratch could be fatal. So ancient humans turned to the forest. If you had a wound, you didn't reach for a bandage, you reached for honey. Ancient Egyptians and their ancestors used honey as a powerful antimicrobial wound treatment, likely for thousands of years before it was ever written down. They paired this with garlic, which has genuine antimicrobial properties they identified through pure trial and error, and willow bark, the original aspirin, to manage pain and inflammation. They didn't have a framework for germ theory, but they had a sophisticated pharmacopoeia of plant-based remedies that kept their skin and bodies functional in a brutal environment. Perhaps the most shocking part of ancient hygiene is their teeth. You'd expect rotted stumps, but the archaeological record shows that hunter-gatherer children actually had better nutrition and fewer cavities than the civilizations that came after them. The secret wasn't a toothbrush, it was the absence of bread. Before agriculture, humans weren't dependent on starchy grains that fuel tooth-decaying bacteria. They even practiced pre-mastication, adults chewing food for infants, which may have transferred beneficial oral bacteria to children, jump-starting their immune systems. They weren't just clean, they were bacterially optimized. The real soap of the ancient world, however, wasn't a substance, it was a social system. For 99% of human history, hygiene was a group project. Ancient humans lived in a dense web of relationships where care was distributed across the entire tribe. In these groups, fathers, grandmothers, and aunts were constantly within arm's reach, checking for parasites, treating wounds, and sharing the labor of physical care. You didn't wash yourself in isolation. You were cared for by a community that ensured no single person was ever the sole point of failure for their own survival. We've traded the communal smoke of the campfire and the medicinal power of the forest for a light switch and a plastic bottle of body wash. We are cleaner in a clinical sense, but we are more isolated than ever. Ancient hygiene wasn't about smelling like a spring breeze. It was about social technology and collective behavior that kept the species alive for 300,000 years. If you're curious about the painful problems our ancestors faced long before modern medicine, click the video on your screen to discover what ancient humans did when they got a toothache. You might be surprised by the strange remedies they relied on to survive. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden side of human history, subscribe so you don't miss the next journey into our past.